Hey, hope you're having a great week. It's the middle of the week, so it's time for a midweek lift. In Words of Grace, we are in Mark chapter 4. And Mark chapter 4 contains several different parables and stories by Jesus. Now, you're maybe familiar with them. The first 20 verses are devoted to the parable of the sower. You know, that's the one where Jesus talks about a guy who's going out and he's throwing out his seed, and it lands on different soil. Some of it rocky, some of it fertile, some of it shallow, and some of it grows and some of it doesn't. And all of those different soils are like different people's hearts. And the disciples say, we don't understand this. What's this about? And Jesus says, it's an interesting thing. He says, those that are on the outside, everything is told to in parables, so that they may be ever seeing and never perceiving, ever hearing and never understanding. And then he explains it to the disciples. So he basically says, hey, this meaning is for you. Everybody else is going to have to chew on it a while, and it's going to take them a while to understand it. Then he talks about being a lamp on a stand. You know, you're a light, you shouldn't be hidden. Then he talks about a seed that grows and produces a full cornel head. And then he talks about the mustard seed. We're familiar with that, where, you know, it's a little bitty seed of faith and it grows into something big. So he's got all these stories right in a row that are all these kind of confusing messages about faith. You know, he's telling stories and saying, people aren't going to understand. I kind of keep it a little bit confusing on purpose. And some people will grow faith, others won't. But when faith grows, it'll grow up and grow into a full kernel and, be like a light that everybody can see. And it'll be like a mustard seed, a little bitty seed that grows into something big. And so he talks about this little tiny faith that some people have and many people won't, but in those that have it, it will grow into something big. And then the chapter ends with a story that seems a little disconnected. When evening came, Jesus said to his disciples, let's go to the other side. Leaving the crowd behind him, they took him along, and they were in the boat. And there were also other boats with him. A furious squall came up, and the waves broke over the boat so that it was nearly swamped. Jesus was in the stern of the boat, sleeping on a cushion. The disciples woke him up and said, Teacher, don't you care if we drowned? But he got up. He rebuked the wind and said to the waves, Quiet, be still. And the wind died down, and it was completely calm. He said to the disciples, Why are you afraid? Do you still have no faith? See, Jesus has been teaching about faith, about if you just have a little bit of fertile soil in your life, to let that seed take root, a little bitty seed, it will grow into something huge, into a giant mustard tree, into a full kernel, a full head of wheat, into a blazing light for everybody to see. You just need a little faith, and amazing things can happen. And many won't have faith, but for the few that will, it'll turn into something amazing. And they get on a boat, and there's a storm, and Jesus is there. And if they truly believe that Jesus is the Messiah, and they truly believe he has purposes to fulfill, then if they have that faith, they should know the boat's not going under. But they're terrified. And they call on Jesus. And he doesn't rebuke them. He rebukes the storm, but he says to them, don't you have any faith? Trust me. Jesus is calling them into a deeper faith. All you need is a little. All you need is a little faith to become something huge. Now, we live in a storm. Our world is a storm around us right now. Countercultural, all kinds of stuff going on, politics, pandemics. It's a storm. If we just have a little bit of faith, I sometimes feel like I'm trying to wake Jesus up and saying, Jesus, don't you care? Don't you care? And he says, hey, have faith. I still reign. I'm still coming back. This faith can grow into something huge. Trust me. Have a great week.